1 2 1 2 1 2, and we're back. Episode 47. You know what we're gonna go ready to talk about. So I'm Alex,
and this is Brennan,
and it's time to talk about some Game of Thrones.
We do that,
we've been talking before we even hit recording about some other stuff. But
before we do that, I have saved something for you to hit the record button.
Okay, what you got?
Disney, Hulu, about to be 100% ownership.
Yeah. I was already talking to you about that, like off the mic, about like a couple of weeks ago. Like the Hulu Disney Plus, you're going to be able to access.
No, but Disney's going to buy NBC's section of it too. They're going to be 100% owners of Hulu, which means all that other content on Hulu.
Yeah,
they're either going to say no competition, you're not going to be on our platform.
No, yeah, that's
or they're going to be like, okay, pay me money.
That's all it's going to be. It's going to be a rotation of money, and the whole streaming thing right now is getting real dangerous because Netflix is now starting to say no to certain products that you were like, what? Like the Picard, Star Trek Picard series they were talking about. Netflix is supposed to be like, that's our next thing. And they're like, I don't know if we're going to jump on that.
You know, they've got a really solid show on there on Netflix.
A lot of solid shows on there.
A recent one. They just came out with season 2. The Sabrina show.
Oh, the Teenage Witch?
The evil Sabrina Teenage Witch thing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen season 2 yet, but season 1 was pretty solid.
With the Dark Archie comics?
Yeah.
And then they went really far with this whole, hey, let's take the Archie world and make it really dark. And Riverdale was all werewolves and weird. And yeah, they're really going, they're taking that property. I hate to see what's going to come up with the Veronica show.
So there's another.
Not that exists yet.
There's another one they have. It's called Last Kingdom.
Last Kingdom.
Burned through 3 of those seasons, or all the seasons they have on there. It's 3 or 4 now. I think it's 3. But that show is better than Vikings. They're doing Vikings better than Vikings.
Well, I mean, they do stuff like that all the time, like that. Like, did you see the Marco Polo one?
I did. That was awesome.
That was awesome. It's not a thing of can they put down like hot fire. It's will they retain hot fire?
Yeah, they don't retain anything.
They're like, hey, this is good for 2 seasons. We're not doing a season 3. We're done.
And maybe that's the whole thing is new content. But they're taking over other properties and bringing them on. I forget which show they're bringing from like actual network to Netflix, and then
I don't know.
Amazon's doing the same thing. So
everybody's trying to push that heavy envelope of, hey, we got this, hey, we got that. Heck, even HBO now is trying to, I know you hate it, but they're doing 30 years later on The Watchmen.
Yeah.
And that's the whole concept of the new Watchmen.
Speaking of television.
Okay, you got...
For the first time in 20 years, there's a television company getting back into the wrestling business. TNT.
Oh,
Turner
boy.
is going to be hosting All Elite Wrestling, the new wrestling company sponsored by the Khan family. They own the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that whole thing's going on.
So we're going to get wrestling on...
We're going to get wrestling on TNT again.
That's going to be
It's going to be based out of Florida and Atlanta, just like old times.
Oh, boy. So we're going to start this district war stuff again.
WCW light over there. But...
Either ways. But
come on. You're from Georgia. We are Southern folk. If you watch wrestling and you were Southern, you'll watch WCW.
Oh,
WCW.
Are you going to say it 5 times?
5 times.
5 times. I'm not going there.
Booker T was awesome.
All right.
Especially when he went at Hulk Hogan.
We're not. This isn't.
I know it's not a wrestling podcast.
It's a wrestling podcast. No, what we're here to talk about, man. It's definitely TV. I mean, it's definitely going to be something that's going to be going on. And as of next week, we're going to need something to talk about. Well,
that's not going to be till October that they get.
Either way, we're going to hit the void, which is what I wanted to bring up for this show. Is not, hey, so this episode, what are people going to do during the void?
Stop crying.
Sans, stop crying.
Well,
I mean, because
they're going to keep signing petitions.
Yeah, about that.
All right. So let's preface.
You want to talk about okay?
Before we get into the episode, for those of you that are signing petitions,
man,
asking a company to spend millions of dollars, you have to realize they've already got your money. They don't care.
Yeah, like that,
you're not going to change
subscription
anything
that you just got for HBO that you're trying to cancel right now.
Don't matter. They got your money. It's over.
But there's tons of people doing that, like in different protests of all types of stuff. I'm against this. I'm going to destroy what I'm like, dude, you already paid money. Yeah. They got their money. Why even fight it? That was my major beef against the The whole Captain Marvel thing. Get your money first. Make us pay for it. Then talk crap about us. You made your money. I don't care at that point.
But they still made their money. Even
they still made
but
their
that
money.
shows Marvel fans are a bit of masochist.
A little bit, but
But so are Game of Thrones fans.
Oh,
because we've been seeing this for 3 seasons now.
Are we going to get
season
into it?
5?
You want to get into it, man?
Yeah,
because I know you're fired up, and
I am fired up.
In like our normal situation, I see the art side of this. I see the film side of this, and I also see something that most people aren't.
I see the guy. I just see the guy that wrote Wolverine Origins. It's that level. I was half expecting some really shiny claws to come out of somebody that just look really out of place.
See, now what happened was
instead we got a Starbucks cup.
What happened was you did some research trying to figure out a little bit more about D&D.
Oh yeah.
So what did you find out about D&D so you could properly shame, and I will counter shame, and you're not ringing any bells on this one. There is not going to be any bing shame.
Look, all I have to say is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Historically, across the board, everybody recognizes that's the worst movie of the X-Men series.
I want to battle you on that just because I can.
This is the same guy that wrote Deadpool's mouth being sewn shut.
You're trying to hurt me.
This is the same guy that put a samurai sword inside Deadpool's fists. This is the same guy who wrote the story of the Wolverine and the Moon. This is the same guy who wrote the movie Troy from 2004, which arguably wasn't the worst film.
Isn't a bad film. It's a good film. It's a good film, and it's I said a good film. I could still watch Troy right now.
It's the worst Brad Pitt film.
Comparative to Wolverine Origins. But what I will give Wolverine Origins, as much as you may want to sit there and talk smack, the first 15 minutes, spectacular. Yeah. He knows how to intro something. He knows how to get you in to the world.
They knew as soon as Martin's writing ceased to be where they were.
They knew how to do a good transition.
They knew how to transition really well and get us really into it and get us really hopeful.
But see, that's where I have my counter for this
D.B.
whole
Weiss
thing.
Virtually did nothing. So I have nothing negative to say about him. He got onto something as a showrunner. Good for him.
I'm proud of you, man.
But David Benioff?
Oh, see, that's where you messed up.
You wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine. You can't
blame how that was directed. That's
terrible,
my counter to it. That is how my counter.
The dialogue is not direct. Well, the dialogue's directed, but the writing of the dialogue's written first.
You don't know how much of that was probably changed post.
Still, he's attached to that project forever. No, so here's the only thing I'll say that's truly negative about D&D.
Okay.
HBO offered them 10 episodes.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to deal with the rush.
Yeah, we could have gotten a solid season out of this.
Which brings up my major point that I'm going to get into. I'm going to let you have your belief system right now that you have, but I have a counter to a lot of what people are saying on the internet.
Before we get into all the negatives, let's talk about what was good.
Well, first things first, I think that people need to go look up a word. It's a very simple word. And unless you read a lot of books and edits of books, you wouldn't understand the term, which is abridged.
Or if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z and have a YouTube, you've seen Team 4 Stars, shout out to them's Dragon Ball Z abridged, which is the greatest thing ever. And don't you ever besmirch.
I'm not even.
Don't you ever besmirch abridged.
I'm not besmirching.
The word abridged should not be associated with this.
No, this actually needs to be associated with this because what we're getting is an abridged version of an outline that Martin put down.
How long is Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet? How long does that play? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head. I would honestly have to look it up.
Probably a few hours, right?
Yeah, give or take.
So when a high school drama teacher does Romeo and Juliet, it's usually within 60 minutes. So you get a quote unquote abridged version.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you go ahead and follow this.
So a high school drama teacher with a decent acting troupe can make a really good performance, even an abridged performance of Romeo and Juliet or any other Shakespeare's work.
Mm-hmm.
And D&D, who have a phenomenal acting troupe, can't do the same thing when they don't have a good writer to basically use their material.
I see. That's where I disagree with you on. Your high school little show that you have going on here also does not have dragons, does not have a cast of hundreds, thousands, and you're also not trying to tell a story that people have already known and accepted. Shit. Now, if this was the first
What do you
high
mean you're
school,
not trying to tell a story people have known and accepted?
how many of us, before going into season 8, knew exactly, minus spoiler fans who have already read the stuff on Reddit, know the ending of this entire story? Now, ask those same people who knows the ending of Romeo and Juliet. Who can quote lines from Romeo and Juliet, whatever version, even the Leonardo DiCaprio version.
Hey, don't besmirch that either.
That was a good movie.
It was phenomenal.
I loved how they did it.
John Leguizamo was the greatest Tybalt ever to Tybalt.
But my point is, we don't know where this is going.
I concede.
Are you sick?
Nope.
Nope.
No, as soon as you started talking, I was like, your point is valid. I concede.
You're sick. You're setting me up for another punch.
No. I'm not setting you up for that. I'm not setting you up for that. I concede. I have what my point was.
I get your point. Don't get me wrong.
They chose, and I get it. They're focused on Star Wars. They're done with it. They don't care. Which is my point against the people signing a petition. But if they
had 10 episodes, I don't think the one negative that I can actually bring out of all of a sudden going from most book series, if it's abridged, we know that from the very beginning. Like when you read the title, you know, hey, this is an abridged version of this series. Mm-hmm. You start off with that. What the problem that most people are having, and they may not even realize that they're having this, we went from getting the full novelization of these different seasons to we got an abridged ending. And I don't think people,
I own myself, 6 copies of the book Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah, okay.
2 of those copies are abridged.
Mm-hmm.
One of those abridged copies is an abridged version of the abridged version. And they're all still great.
I'm not denying that, but when have you seen a transition in any series, whether book, comic, or anything, that you went from full story, and we're going to get to the last chapter or the last book of a series, abridged?
I'll do one with 3 books of a series.
Go ahead.
Or 3 movies from a book series.
Okay, go ahead.
Abridged versions, most definitely.
Well, there's probably ones I'm 100%
Lord of the Rings. Those were most definitely abridged versions. You could have spent an hour and a half. I'm not even going to.
Trust me, I know that's abridged. But see, the problem was you started off with the Lord of the Rings movies knowing that these were going to be abridged.
Yeah.
We started off with Game of Thrones
thinking this was going to be a story. And look,
the full length.
If you rewind this to when we were talking about before the season came out, and you're like, do you think we're going to be able to do it in 6 episodes? And I was like, of course.
And I was already going with this. All right, you want to throw one at me as far as when have you seen this done where all of a sudden we get an abridged version out of nowhere? There is a book series that was transferred into a movie series, which we started slowly getting tricklings of abridgment. And when we got to the end, it was almost, I won't say seamless, but it was a good transition into, hey, we're picking up the pace, we're cutting out things. Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Potter was the one where I go, yes, we went from...
It shows it can be done.
It can be done. The problem is, what I see right now is, one, people were not prepared for an abridged version of anything. Not at this point. Not what we've gotten for 7 seasons. To be honest,
what I see is a... If you look at some of the actors' comments online, there's videos, compilations of their reactions to this season that they're not happy with it. I think, to be honest with you, and this is just speculation on my part, I think D&D said, okay, cool, we're done with this. We can walk away from this. We've gotten paid. On to the next project. Who cares how this goes? Let's just make it quick. And that's why instead of telling a completed full story, they chose the 6 episodes.
And which
because just 10 episodes, 6 episodes, 8 episodes. I think it could have been solidly done in 8 episodes. 2 more episodes would have made this perfect.
And you would have seen some transitions played out a little differently.
Yeah, like to give a shout out to a YouTuber named Jeremy Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for this line. The quick turn of Danny was quicker than Anakin's turn.
Yeah,
and that's something that that's
saying a lot.
We've been speculating it. It's been this whole speculation the whole season, like, oh, she's gonna go Mad Queen, and then the internet's like, oh, there was foreshadowing the whole time. No, there was her impulses that she was ignoring because she had them, but the character was a good person.
I wouldn't give foreshadowing to that. I will give foreshadowing to one of the things that was really kind of hit us over the head several times with is leading through fear. And that was something that the Queen of Thorns brought up to her, as far as
you're a dragon, be a dragon.
Be a dragon, and if you have to leap through fear, then that's your style. Now, that's, of course, a translation of that entire conversation. But
Cliff notes.
The point is, this was nothing new. It wasn't the leading by fear that I think that took people so rough. It was the fact that we didn't get the normal George R. R. Martin, like, explanation and the build-up and the, oh no, here it comes, and oh, by the way, have you seen this over here? And you're like, but what about this? And then you get back to, it's already in action. It's not even told. The story style has changed. We went from one writing style to another, and I don't think we've had a chance to adjust as fans. And I think that's where a lot of these fans are starting to throw a lot of shade at. But come on, the level of shade that they're throwing online right now is...
Yeah. It's a bit much.
People are these fair weather fans of going, oh, this is the worst of all time. They're destroying this series. I'm like,
book fans have a right to be mad, but book fans have been mad for many, many, many seasons.
Yeah, and that's the reason why my anger is kind of like,
at this point, I'm just like, eh. And when I didn't get Lady Stoneheart, that was a disappointment. When we didn't do any of the Golden Company stuff while we were over at SOs, that was a disappointment. I'm like, okay,
this is their version of it. This is.
I accept that what I thought was going to happen in the books is not what's going to happen in the show, and I need to buy and read the books when they come out, if he ever finishes.
Or just keep strictly to the show and accept your universe, because while comic book fans, this is nothing new for hardcore comic book fans, and I think a lot of the world that's not as geek inclined or not as geek initiated, that they only do Game of Thrones.
Well, that's a fun topic we can get into really quick.
Okay, what you got?
So the geek initiated, if you look at, sorry about that, technical difficulties there.
Go ahead.
If you look at pop culture, everybody seems to be a geek nowadays.
Oh, man.
But how many of them are actually geek initiated?
Not many. Not enough, no.
They like to watch the comic book movies, and because of that, they got some comic book memorabilia, and maybe they bought a Thor and a Captain America and an Iron Man comic. Maybe they even started reading and became a fan.
Yeah.
But most of them have never picked up a Swamp Thing.
No.
Most of them have no idea
Hellblazer.
What a top cow is.
Yeah.
Most of them would never. These are the same people that go into comic book stores and then make fun of the customers in the comic book stores for being overweight neckbeards.
That's all 100% true.
Those are our brethren.
But I guess the difference is when the conversations come up at a comic book store and there's two people battling over who could beat who and how they would actually go through and do it. And they're the ones sitting over there going...
They've never had a 4-hour argument about who could win in a fight, Goku or Superman.
And then showing up at a party and people like, oh, you're here now. Answer this question. That's part of it. But I've also paid my dues. And that same situation comes up now is we have these Game of Thrones hardcore geeks, nerds. They know their stuff. But at the same time...
They do exist.
Oh, they exist. They're hardcore. I give them their props. Problem comes up being is
some of us know the history of the houses, and
I'm all for that because everybody has their thing. But even when your faction turns against you, you have to know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of these new Game of Thrones, these new geek initiated, they really don't know how to handle it, and so they use the same tactics they use in their day-to-day internet
protest,
life.
petition.
And I'm going, guys, it's over.
Yeah.
It's literally over. You're at your last episodes. It's
petitioning time was season 5.
Yeah.
Petitioning time was season 6. So tell HBO to stop it until Martin finishes the series.
Yeah, there you go.
Something. If you want the same quality you had, they should have just stopped when Martin did it. But they didn't, so here we are.
They just want it more. And so now we're getting to the last episode, and you want to throw your hat into the fire
just become a jaded geek. Understand that things are going to suck. And
it's not even that really going to suck. It's the fact of just the same way people have yelled at me all the time over, this isn't like the comic book. The Infinity Gauntlet, I'll bring out the Infinity Gauntlet comic book. And they're like, that's the comic book world. This is the MCU. Mm-hmm. This is what's happening in this universe, and this is how they're going to tell their story. And I'm going, but this character is right there. They can end this with this character.
And that's how to argue with the book fans. But the casual fans that are like, oh, I like this because this was high on Dany and Daenerys. I'm a fan of Emilia Clarke, and I'm a fan of Dany, and a strong female character. And the same people that are yelling about her becoming the big bad villain. And then the other half is like, oh, there was foreshadowing. And they're arguing back and forth online.
But here's the one thing that I'm going to bring up, the reason why I know that Kathleen Kennedy is going to sit there and take these boys in. It has nothing to do with her agenda. Look at the conversations and the uproar. Something that you told me and you remind me of all the time. Sometimes bad press is just as good as good press.
Man, no, controversy equals cash. To quote a wrestling figure named Eric Bischoff from WCW, controversy equals cash.
Which is right now, you have fans tearing at each other. You don't have to have something else outside of them to go at each other.
But I hope D&D are truly ready for the venture they're about to take, because
that's
fans
where I'm saying
are more toxic. No fan base is more toxic
or loud. You got to give them
Star
both,
Wars fans,
because it's not just the toxic fans. It's also the fact of, if we honestly don't like it,
they will mob you at conventions. Ask George Lucas.
I can't sit there and open my mouth right now. I'm not saying I would be down to mobbing George Lucas, but I am in the middle of my own protest. So
yeah. Now, so let's move on out of the subject.
All right, we got into the social part of this.
What did we like? What did you like? Man?
For
me, my three favorites.
Okay.
One, it was shot beautifully.
And
I can say what I want about those
man.
writers, man, but my God, the directors of photography that they've had on these seasons.
And the director, he knows how to shoot a battle scene.
Yeah, man, this is the same guy from Blackwater, the same guy from Bastards, the same guy from Winterfell. He is phenomenal at this.
And that's where I get into my whole art side, man. Artistically, I go, man, you shot it, and the way it was shot invoked emotion. Mm-hmm. I can't go, this was bad. This was good.
Jon Snow's reaction.
That's your number two?
That's my number two. Because, so my big complaint about Dany and some of the other characters is they're not sticking true to the character. But they seem to pay attention to what Jon Snow does. Jon Snow is the only character I can say that has actually stuck true to his character arcs, or lack thereof, because he really hasn't had one. He's just been, I'm honorable. And that's it. I'm honorable like Ned Stark. Tell me that's what got him killed. But as soon as Dany starts setting things on fire, he starts trying to stop the Northmen from attacking the Lannisters. But the Northmen, that kind of bothered me. But I got it. They're bloodthirsty. They've been pushed around by the South enough, and they're like, okay, we're just going to kill them because they've killed everybody else. Fine, I can get behind that.
You just got
Jon
done
Snow,
with killing every single thing that moved. So I mean,
Jon Snow being, we shouldn't do this, let's fall back, and just that horrified reaction of, I can't believe I have to fight through these people that don't want to fight.
And kill your own people.
Yeah, and kill his own people to save innocent people. That, to me, it shows that Jon has stuck to his character, but it also shows that foreshadowing of what I called the last time. Jon is definitely killing Dany.
Oh, that's not even a question.
So the last thing I liked, let me pull up my notes here.
Okay. Then while you pull up your notes, I'm going to talk about one of the first things that I enjoyed.
Oh, I can't believe I just didn't even think of this offhand.
As much as everybody wants to talk about it, that was some beautiful dragon destroying. You remove the storyline. They did a great job.
Oh, no, that was awesome.
That was what you envision of one dragon destroying everything. And it was done.
Every Dungeons and Dragons game I've ever played where a dragon has attacked a town or a city, it is the way I've pictured it is exactly that.
And to me, I'm going, those guys really must play some hardcore D&D, because that was shot beautifully. Mm-hmm. My number two was Arya saying Sandor's name. That touched my heart in the middle of all this craziness and all the other emotions. I was like, wow, this is the ending of that story. That's how you end
their partnership. Yeah,
the best buddy cop in
the second best. The first best hasn't been shown yet.
Okay,
Tormund and Ghost.
Okay,
that's the best buddy cop movie in Westeros.
All right,
Clegane Bowl.
You want to talk about Clegane Bowl?
So I know people were disappointed in some of it. They didn't like the way the mountain looked. I thought it was cool.
At this point, the rotting flesh should look something like that. I'm okay with it.
It wasn't an amalgamation of body parts. They ran out of budget on the dragon fire. I get it.
Yeah, at a certain point, you go.
The reaction of Sandor when he stabbed Gregor, that was phenomenal.
I wanted to, before you get that far into it, you have to go from the very start of Clegane Bowl.
Qyburn's death.
The coin toss, as I would like to call it.
Qyburn's death.
You take the master and just toss him.
Yeah.
And Cersei, you have to give props to Cersei.
No, Lena Headey's actor was phenomenal.
In that scene alone, I thought was a great... Because she was like, hey, you going to back me or what? And she's like, you know what? I guess you boys are going to
I'm just going to go. Her face when she saw Jaime, though. Oh. Like, she was in the middle of that kind of breakdown, but like, okay, I got to get out of here. Saw Jaime and just lost it.
Lena Headey, man. She got paid a large amount of money for like maybe 12 pages worth of work and drinking some wine.
Hey, Jon Snow paid a large amount of money to be a side character for 3 episodes.
Oh, man. I was honestly impressed by her.
No, and speaking of I will speak about this scene only once because I didn't hate it the way everybody else did for the same reasons that everybody else did.
Which one?
The Jaime Cersei death. So I didn't like it because there was no Valonqar prophecy. But if you take away that from the show, that was a phenomenal way to go.
The prophecies is like I was saying before. The prophecies are null and void.
That's a different universe.
That's a different universe. Let's not even get into it. Even though they were brought up in the series,
a lot of people in Game of Thrones have died unceremoniously, and that's one of them. And I think that was they almost got to safety. They didn't.
And then he ran around trying to look for
a way out, and some way. And then he finally went and said, "Okay, there's no way to do this. Let me calm her down. I'm going to die the way I want to, holding the woman I love." And I don't care about his character arc. I don't care about as much as everybody they ruined 3 seasons or 4 seasons of character arc. Who cares
at this point?
Because you know what? Realistically, if you look at it, he wanted to uphold his honor because he was afraid of the dead. When they were done. You can tell before he went and banged Brienne, he was thinking about what he's going to do next. That look on his face was...
He had to figure out
where am I going? Okay,
what is his place in this world?
This chick's into me. Let me see about this. That wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I'm out of here.
I don't think it was that hardcore, man.
No, but
I think it was... the love was there.
That's the abridged version.
Oh, I forgot. We're doing abridged everything now.
It was love and respect, but it wasn't love. It wasn't the same love he has for Cersei.
I think it was the foundations of love that could have happened. I think that he... started weighing things out.
You have to remember that he had never been with another woman other than Cersei, where Cersei had been with Robert, Cersei had been with Lancel, Cersei was then with Euron. He had stayed loyal to Cersei. So that was like him going off to try something else, even because he was really into this girl, and then going, man,
I miss Cersei.
It's
and he knew that she was going to die. I think that while you were going with that point of view, I'm looking at it as my twin is going to die.
The love of his life was going to die without him, and that's how he wanted to go.
I'm breaking it down as far as twin for a different reason, because the bond that twins have, you're not going to let your twin die,
especially if you're boning him.
That's a totally different story. Don't even know how that works out, but the whole concept is he wanted to be there.
Yeah,
and if she was going to die, he
for
was
a minute there. I thought he was going to go ring the bells.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, he's going to ring the bells before it even hits the fan, and
they're going to be okay with it because she's going to be off burning things, and they're going to be like, all right, we're going to...
Yeah. My next favorite scene is more of an artist thing. 100% artist. Death Rides a Pale Horse. Now, I hated all the...
Arya's not going to kill her.
No, but it was the fact of, here it is, you have this girl who is death, and the Pale Horse. Now, theories on if that horse was an Uber from Bran. I've read something online that someone was talking about, like, that was like an Uber from Bran. Like, he sent that horse. I'm like, nah.
I think that was a horse from a soldier that was getting away, saw a living person, was like, are you going to take me out of here? I think that was just absolute circumstance. It was cool imagery.
But as a very last shot, artistically, we're not talking about story.
In the middle of this episode, I'm hoping she just rides to a port, hands somebody a coin, and says, Vala Morgulis.
And I'm out.
Yeah. Like, I'm done with Westeros. These people can keep it. I'm going back to where it's simple.
Where it's safe.
Yeah. Where she is death. But
I think that part I thought was a really cool shot. There were a lot of
does
really
she still have the coin?
Does she?
I know she gave it to Jaqen, but did Jaqen give it back?
Or does she acquire another?
She could have.
The girl has no name.
Yeah, what you know would be awesome by the end of all of this if Arya's face gets removed and it's the waif.
That is the creepiest, weirdest thing I would look forward to.
That would be the best turn of events. It'd be like awesome. Arya died in that little room. The waif put a face on there and said, "I'm Arya Stark,"
and that would explain everything.
Yep, why she's so good at fighting,
Well, she was good beforehand,
but not the Wave good. The Wave kept getting an upper hand.
That would be
except
cool.
for blind fighting. That was Arya's forte.
Now, we've talked about some good things, and you were bringing up your third last thing, because what was your third thing that you were...
Clegane Bowl.
Oh, Clegane Bowl.
That was my thing.
Okay, I rewound you from Clegane Bowl to talk about Cersei bouncing out.
Yeah.
What did you love about it? What did you hate about
it?
The
Hound. I loved the Hound overcoming his fear of fire to finally put the end to his brother. It's basically ending them both. Because there's no way the Hound was going to die. I hated the fact that I don't know. It's just it was that feeling of like, okay, cool, that's done, but that was it.
Abridged.
Yeah, like it's that.
The
big complaint is that it's all abridged,
and I think that that fight was fun,
except for the real complaints.
Oh, wait a minute! I thought we were having fun, man. What are you doing?
No, we're going to go.
Why are you bringing out notes?
I literally am only going to talk about two notes because I've already mentioned Dany's heel turn. Two things. My two biggest problems, which are all really connected to each other. Okay, so first, that role that Tyrion and Varys had, that really should have been reversed. Not saying Tyrion should have died. I'm just saying like the one that was a little more jaded should have been Tyrion, and like maybe she shouldn't be on the throne. And Varys would be like, no, that's Targaryen, that's the queen, blah, blah, blah. Because he's been working towards her brother, her whole life. Illyrio and him are business partners. They like the Targaryen restoration was headed by Varys and Illyrio, and then some Dornish people in the books, but realistically, Varys.
Right.
So Varys should have been backing her 100% because he's been doing it forever.
Yes,
I get his whole
greater good thing. Though.
I get his whole greater good thing, but he knows the kind of person Cersei is. And he doesn't really know the kind of person Dany is other than what he's heard. And he was unquestionably loyal until she did some things that he didn't see. Two things specifically, right? It wasn't his family she was going to kill.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't him that she was like, I don't trust you anymore. I'll find a new hand, blah, blah, blah. Varys was the one person she was leaving alone.
Because you kind of trust this guy who normally can get out of anything, right. which is where I have my other issue.
The Varys martyrdom we'll talk about in a minute. Tyrion, on the other hand, had every reason to want Jon on the throne instead of her. Every reason.
Yeah.
A, Tyrion does not want to hurt Cersei and Jaime. B, he told her, don't burn the Tarleys.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's been basically talking crap to him since they got to Westeros because some of his plans didn't work out because he didn't foresee certain actions.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he tries to think ahead, like, okay, succession, what are we going to do here? She verbally slaps him in the face about it and says, not yet. So now, Tyrion is basically useless as a hand.
Mm-hmm.
Useless. He would be more likely to be like, maybe she doesn't want to listen to me and like, he can temper her better impulses. No, Tyrion, you've been trying that. That's why I love the Varys line of, how's that been working for you?
Yeah.
Because that's legit. She hasn't listened to him once. He's more likely to believe that she doesn't want to follow direction than Varys is. Now, if we're going to go with this route, Tyrion snitching Varys out, I'm sorry, dude. The only reason you're alive and in her service
is because of
Varys. The only reason your chick Shay didn't get killed and found out the moment you became Joffrey's hand is because of Varys.
Right.
Screw you for snitching out your only friend.
And when he dies from something or other, I don't know, Braun.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Varys was the only real friend Tyrion had, and he snitched on him. And which it doesn't seem in Tyrion's character to do that. But, so I didn't like him snitching.
Okay.
Because nobody likes a snitch.
Mm-hmm.
The
what else is it that you just had?
10 minutes. So he's all concerned about Varys' treason. 10 minutes after that, he goes and commits treason and does something he knows she'll kill him for because they talk about it.
Yeah.
But you care about Varys' treason. You're going to snitch out Varys and then go do it.
Who already has a plan, a backup plan.
Who can save your brother and your sister All you got to do is get her to eat something because he was getting that little girl to try to poison her.
Right.
You could have not had Varys in that situation. You could have left Varys alive.
I think that was more of creators having liberties going, we're going to remove these characters off the board.
Oh, yeah.
Because at a certain point, with only one episode left, you know that he had to die. Or what I was expecting was the moment that you tried to kill him, he would have one last trick, which is the part that kind of bummed me out.
I think that was his trick. Dying was his trick.
In front of Jon Snow to show...
After he sent the letters to the Lords of Westeros saying Jon Snow is Aegar Targaryen and explaining the story.
Uh-huh.
After the Lords of Westeros are going to get those notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
He then gets burned alive in front of Jon Snow because he was conspiring. Okay, that makes sense. Execution. He's executed people for it. But he was, his whole reasoning for it was what he told Jon Snow on the beach. You don't know where her coin is going to land, but he knows where his landed.
Mm-hmm.
So he planted that seed in Jon Snow, and then Jon Snow watched her burn him alive. And then Varys turned out to be right, and Jon Snow saw that.
And now we have Jon Snow.
And now I guarantee you 100% without a shadow of a doubt that Jon Snow kills Daenerys this coming episode.
I don't think that's even a shadow of a doubt. I think that's 100%.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's not even worthy of even talking about. It's not even going to be shocking.
Here is one prediction that is worthy of being talked about.
Okay, what's your one prediction?
So I'm going to make a deal with you.
Okay.
I'm done talking about Game of Thrones, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm over this show. I'm just drained between the internet's complaining and then the show not going the way that I wanted it to. I'm like any other cynical or jaded geek out there.
Uh-huh.
When the intellectual property that I love turns to crap, I just go, okay, I'm going to find something else to enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with Game of Thrones right now.
That's the reason why I watch Code Geass all week. I'm like, back to anime, where things make sense.
And that's a sad, sad sentence. So we're going to go with an option here.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a prediction as to who's going to sit on the throne at the end of it, and that's going to decide what we're going to do next week. If you're cool with it.
I'm all right. All right. Let's hear. Okay. I want to hear the predictions first.
Okay. So one of two characters are going to sit on the throne.
Okay.
It's going to be Gendry because that would be the best choice. Baratheon, son of Robert, already legitimized, man of the people, phenomenal. It would be the perfect character arc. He started at Flea Bottom in King's Landing. Now he sits the throne in King's Landing.
Started from the bottom.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
All right.
Yeah. So the other option is Bran. I will hate that if it happens because he can't be Lord of anything. He's the three-eyed raven. That's all we've been hearing. He can't be Lord of Winterfell.
I'm just the three-eyed.
I'm just the three-eyed raven. So if they have a council, a king's moot or whatever they do, and they say, okay, we're going to vote for Bran, right? And Bran goes, okay, I'll be king. That takes away everything Bran has been.
But if he says he'll take it and then turns into 100 crows or something like that and then flies off.
But if Bran sits, if the show ends with Bran's king, well, I don't know if there's going to be an Iron Throne.
Well, he has
but
his
if
own
he
throne.
sits with wheels,
the wheeled throne.
Oh God! If he sits as king by the end of this. If he is king by the end of this, legitimately king, then I'm going to do a reaction video. We're going to post it on our Twitter, and then we're going to call it a day and move on.
Talk about some other movie?
Talk about another movie. Talk about anything else next week, then Game of Thrones.
So you can talk about anime and how great the stories are.
We can do anime. We can do an anime episode. We will do Ninja Scroll.
Ooh, yeah. Classic. That's a classic.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so...
The other option is Gendry. If it's Gendry or anyone else,
even if it's a lady,
if it's Sansa, I can kind of see it. I'll really hate it, but I can see it because she season 1. I'm going to be queen one day, and then she turns out to be queen. Okay, I can. It's a good story arc. She lost her right to be queen because, and now she's put in. Okay, cool. I can dig that.
Okay.
If it's Gendry, I can dig that. If it's Samwell Tarly, I'll be confused, but I can kind of get behind it. There's already some princes.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody can say those aren't legitimately his.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows. So, and all he has to do is be king, legitimize them, and they're all Tarleys, and
the Tarly clan grows.
The Tarly clan grows after it. It'd be a cool win for Sam, even though he deserves to die, not a win.
Okay. So as long as it's not...
As long as anybody but Bran. And I have this really bad feeling. I don't know why.
Because you think John's going to take the
I think
gray?
John's going to take the black.
The new black.
Yeah. So there's no Night's Watch. They're all dead. John's going to kill Daenerys, and he's not going to sit the throne. And if Jon Snow sits the throne, I'm not even going to make the video. I'm just gonna do a quick F Game of Thrones video, and we'll post that on Twitter.
Okay.
If Jon sits the throne, because that's worse than Bran in my opinion.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of Jon Snow fan people out there going, but he deserves it because he's the rightful heir. No, Gendry's the rightful heir as far as rules of conquest go.
Okay. And if we get to the Gendry thing, you'll go through and explain that.
Oh yeah, no, I'll explain that the right man's sitting on the throne.
Okay, then that's what we'll have as far as next week, and we'll watch something and have that on backup. And if you want to hit us up and want to talk about anything, you can find us on Facebook. You can hit us up at mailbag at therealpundits.com. You can find us on Twitter at therealpundits. And other than that, I want to bring up one more thing. This is my ear pull from my mom and other people who are fans of Carol Burnett. We lost Tim Conway this week. Another funny man down. So I'm going to end the show on a sad note since we're doing
Do you know who we almost lost today? Rushed to the hospital for medical care.
Yeah.
Who?
A lot of people.
Woo!
I know you wanted to bring
Ric
up him.
Flair.
Yeah.
No.
Woo, Tang.
Love that.
Either way. Hey, guys. The ending of this, instead of leaving on such a negative note, I'm going to leave it on one little quick thing. It's just a show. Yeah. It's entertainment.
It's cool. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
Your life's not over. Do what I'm going to do.
And don't turn on. And don't turn it into hatred towards other people. Use this for conversations. Be speculative. Have these conversations of what you think.
Relationships have been built over Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So the whole concept comes down to it is be good to each other.
Or as Bella and Ted say, be excellent to each other.
Well, the reason I'm bringing that up is because after this, I got to go get my John Wick 3 on. And so I'm about to go see a whole bunch of people get shot. And
by Ted Theodore Logan.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
John Wick, a.k.a. John Wick. And other than that, it was another show, and bye.
Peace.